For mounting the Reckless 80, it's really important to use the heat shield that comes with the kit. This is a 950 Super Enduro. It's got a really high and exposed pipe, so I'm actually using 2 heat shields here. But the heat shield is really important because if any part of the underside of the bag or your bike plastics comes into contact with the pipe, it's going to melt and cause a bunch of damage. So you definitely want to use the heat shield. On this particular bike, I've got 2 heat shields. You can actually see there's a little burn on the plastics here from back when I was running just 1 heat shield. But on most bikes, 1 heat shield is going to be just fine. But you want to make sure that you place it in such a way that it's keeping both the bag and the plastics off the pipe. So when the bike drops, if it lands on the bag and the bag pushes the plastics and the plastics hit the pipe, you're going to have a burn mark like this one. So if you have a big high exposed pipe like this, consider using 2 heat shields. Otherwise, for most bikes, 1 heat shield should be fine. Okay, now I'm going to put the harness on the bike and get it positioned where I want it. So the positioning is going to depend on the bike and your personal preference. Some people like to mount the bag where a passenger would sit a little bit farther forward. That gets your weight a little farther forward and off the suspension. But if you need the extra space, you can mount it as far back as you like, maybe sitting back on a rear luggage rack like that. So get the bag in position, and then we're going to tighten up the straps. On the inside of the beaver tail, there's these 3 connection straps used to connect the rear of the harness to the bike. So the straps go through the holes in the beaver tail here, like this, and then they loop through your luggage rack or whatever you've got on the rear of the bike to connect luggage to, and then back through the beaver tail like that. Then they string through the ladder lock buckle like this, back like that, and then tighten it and get the right amount of distance between the back of the bike and the harness based on where you want to have the harness sit. Now, if for some reason you receive these straps and they look like this, and it seems like the strap is upside down, there's a little trick. You're going to take the webbing and actually run it underneath the ladder lock first like that. That's what it's supposed to look like. And then through the luggage rack, back through the beaver tail, and connect it like that. So once you've got the rear straps in place, now it's time to connect the leg straps. There's 1 on each side of the bike. On this bike, I like to go through the passenger foot peg, but you can also connect to different parts of the frame, pretty much anywhere that's convenient. So I just loop it through a spot on the foot peg or the frame and come back up through this cam buckle and pull it nice and snug. Then the excess webbing gets folded up like this, and there's a little Velcro strap keeper here to hold it in place. If for some reason, you say you take the strap off the bag or it arrives this way from the factory, if for some reason the strap is running in front of the cam buckle like this, what you want to do is take the end and loop it back behind the cam buckle like this. Pull it tight. You got to it takes a little wrestling to get the strap keeper through there, but this is what it should look like when it's ready to be rigged. And then you can just loop it through. Like that. To mount the tent pole bag, we're going to use this daisy chain. There are these Velcro tent pole holders there. These can be removed if you're using the tent pole bag. The tent pole bag comes with its own connection straps. It's this black webbing with a ladder lock on the end. We're going to loop this through the daisy chain on the inside of the beaver tail and then through the corresponding daisy chains on the outside of the tent pole bag. This is what the tent pole bag looks like when it's mounted to the beaver tail. You can see I've got the connection straps running through the daisy chains on the tent pole bag and then also through the daisy chain on the beaver tail. They don't have to be too tight because when you close the beaver tail and tighten it against the Stinger 22, the tent pole bag will be held in place. So it's okay if there's a little bit of movement in this bag. It doesn't have to be cinched down every time you open the beaver tail. When the leg bag is off the bike, you can use these buckles on the roll top like a handle, like that. And then the leg bag slides down into the harness. There's this little handle at the bottom here which lines up with the hole at the bottom of the harness. So you can slide it in like that, and then if you need the handle, reach up through the hole, grab it, and use it to tug the leg bag down into place. These side compression straps, when the bag arrives from the factory, are connected to each other around the outside of the harness. like this. So you want to disconnect those and connect them to the buckles on the top of the leg bag. Like that. And then the center compression strap goes up and over the top. Cinch everything down nice and tight. And you're ready to go. The Stinger 22 mounts in the center of the harness underneath the beaver tail. There are Velcro patches on the bottom of the bag that line up with Velcro patches on the harness. It sits in place like that. And then this rear buckle on the beaver tail goes underneath this webbing handle on the Stinger 22, over the top, connects to the front of the beaver tail like that. Cinch that down, and then the beaver tail closes over the top. Like that. On the beaver tail webbing, as with all the webbing straps on the Reckless 80, when you have excess webbing, you can roll it up like this, and then either connect it behind the main strap, like so that it won't be flapping around in the wind while you're riding. Or if you prefer, you can just wrap it around itself like this, and that gives you a handy little thing to pull on when you want to cinch the bag down. This is what the Reckless 80 looks like when it's all set up on the bike. You can see I've got the side bags inside the legs, the side compression straps connected to the dry bag. I've got the Stinger 22 tucked underneath the beaver tail harness, and I've got the tent pole bag in place. If you have any questions or issues with your install, send us an email or give us a call, and we'll get it taken care of.